and the way Shea is allowed to be guarded, and the way Shea courts contact or initiates contact and then reacts as if there were a sniper in the crowd.
So you would like to have this story be a team that has been intelligently built, that has a superstar scoring champ about to be league MVP, a, kind of up and coming second and third options in J-Dub and Chet, and this team just absolutely annihilating Minnesota in the Thunder's first conference finals game since KD was there. You'd love for that to be the story, but it's not the story. The officiating is the story, because the dichotomy between how the Thunder guard, which is awesome playoff physical defense, and the way Shea is allowed to be guarded, and the way Shea courts contact or initiates contact and then reacts as if there were a sniper in the crowd, just flails to the ground, and time after time after time gets rewarded for it, is utterly maddening. And we have seen, listen, James Harden was different stylistically than Shea, but did a lot of this same stuff, obviously. Maybe this feels more jarring because Harden's teams were not the best defensive team we've seen in a quarter century, or at least 20 years, that was on the other end of the court roughing everyone up. But it is impossible to watch, and I like it, by the way Caruso and Dort and Wiggins and Wallace and J-Dub are allowed to guard, and then see on the other end of the court how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is treated by the refs as if he's playing by a different set of rules.
A million interviews. We've done a million on this podcast. We've been in locker rooms with Hall of Famers. Shai is one of the most impressive people that I've ever talked to. And it's not, so we do the whole, we doing the interview, and I go to ask him, I'm like, so there's a lot of conversation about, and he smiles so big. He goes, I love it. And I'm like, so I was like, he's like, oh, the free throws? He's like, yeah. But he's like, and this is again, the cerebral, like he says it with a smile, which is so engaging to chanting everybody's point. He goes, what's crazy about it is that he said 2 years ago, I averaged almost 11 free throws a game, but we finished 10th and no one cared. Now I'm averaging 9 free throws. So I'm averaging less free throws than I did then. And now he goes, it just means that they care. He's like, when I wasn't sending their best favorite player home, when I wasn't sending their team home, then no one cared that I was shooting 11 free throws a night and scoring this amount of points. Now that I'm doing it and I'm averaging 9 free throws, the whole world is exploding about it. He's like, I love it. It just means they're thinking about me. So all of the conversation and all the people that are upset know that this man loves it. He smiles when he talks about it. That to me is the type of sickos that we love. Like, keep complaining. Stop me. Just like, but like you guys, he goes, I know it's misguided because no one cared when we were the 10th seed and I was shooting 11. Now that we're the 1 seed and I'm shooting 9, everybody is all up in arms. He goes, I love it.
Can we jump into something real quick though? Mm-hmm. This is just for me. 3D, I don't know how you feel about it. Mm-hmm. SGA is the MVP of the league. It's been announced. Mm-hmm. Can we stop with the foul merchant narrative? Can we stop acting like he's only this cold because he's out here stealing free throws? Can we stop acting like he is not forcing? Listen, I understand there were some calls that are going to go here or there. There's some calls that might go in his favor, some calls that won't. That's not new to the game of basketball. Star players always get foul calls.
I mean, he's the NBA's leading scorer.
Yes, but he lives in the mid-range. Mm-hmm. He's not out here just settling for 15 threes. Mm-hmm. He puts pressure on the defense constantly. I just hate the fact that he has played so great this year. And so on so many different networks, we're talking about the fouls and this, that, and the third, when we should be talking about the mid-range game, the footwork, the dedication to excellence and greatness, the growth of his game. It's like we get tired of talking about the positives. When somebody young comes up and is absolutely cooking, we want to run with a foul merchant narrative. I'm watching the game last night. One of the announcers talking about the foul merchant. Man, stop. He's just cold. He's that dude. He's SGA. That's just my rant for today. I had to get it off my chest because I'm tired of everybody putting this foul merchant stuff on his name. The dude's cold. He's the MVP. He's the best.
Guys who led the league in free throws attempted per 100 possessions, right? All time. The top 10, 9 of them are from the 60s, right? So that's not a modern thing. At 10, you get Joel Embiid from a couple of years ago. You get Harden from a couple of years ago. Embiid. And then you get back to Pettit and Robertson, Iverson, Malone, Mike and Malone, Dantley, World Be Free. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is outside the top 30. So it's like he's not egregious, and he's not flopping. He's getting fouled. And that's part of the game. Is like, can you guard me without grabbing me? And him moving in that way is a necessary element to that.
People think he's just falling down and drawing fouls when really, if you watch, he is maneuvering his body down low to the ground, keeping his balance and drawing contact in a way that's not hooking guys in. It's just simply being so athletic and so smooth that he can force people into making contact with him in a way that no one else in the league is capable of.
People complaining about Gilgeous-Alexander doing it are being myopic because this isn't even amazing by historical standards. Right. He's one of the best in the league right now. Luka Doncic does it. Jalen Brunson does it. But like these guys are all doing it. Like, notice a trend here. These aren't guys who are like, he was so fast and explosive, I couldn't help but foul him to guard him. And I think that's part of it is people convince themselves that the type of players that are superstars, the type of players that are unstoppable, the type of players that draw a lot of fouls are jump out of the gym explosion like Michael Jordan. And then you see guys like Brunson and Doncic and Shea, and they don't move like that. They don't look like that. It's like, oh, you're just flopping, basically, is the thing, as opposed to, no, you can't guard me. That's what's happening.
Playoff Jimmy built his entire legend on
No
this.
doubt.
The whole thing was built on him getting to the free throw line over and over and over.
All right, so it was 2006, June 2006, and I'll tell you exactly where I was. All right, I was in Jamaica. I was on a resort. I was in a gym, and on the screen, I was watching the 2006 NBA Finals. And I seen something that I don't think I've ever seen before. All right, I seen Dwayne Wade march to the free throw line for a record amount of time, maybe 32 or 31 amount of times in one game, and then for the whole series. All right, I seen Dwayne Wade just score an absurd amount of points from the free throw line, and Miami won the series. They came back from I think it was a 3-2 deficit, and they beat Dallas to win the 2006 NBA Finals. All right, after that, I seen Dwayne Wade, all right, reach elite status and suddenly be known as one of the greatest shooting guards in NBA history. All right, to the point where the king took all his marbles, risked his legacy, and put his whole life in the hands of that guy, Dwayne Wade, right? Who basically, Mark Cuban, I think, filed a grievance because of the absurd amount of free throw shots that he was taking in that series. All right, a record number. But to this day, nobody complains about what happened. And nobody has put an asterisk on that NBA Finals. But for some reason, after one game, you guys are crying about Shea being a free throw merchant again. To the point where even one of your announcers is calling him free throw merchant in a game where his team only had 5 more free throw attempts than their opposing team. I mean, this, you can't make it up. And the biggest crybabies, okay, that I've seen this whole year, for some odd reason, always have the opposite complexion. And most of the time, they're Jokic fans. And today is probably the worst day of their 2025, maybe the worst day of their whole life, because SGA won the MVP. For some reason, they just can't get over the fact that this guy is so crafty, that he has such a great knowledge of the game and his opponents, and is so shifty, is able to get people off balance, right, and get a regular amount of fouls as compared with most superstar players. Right, and if they dig down and did a little research, they would see that Shea is not even in the top 10 in 30-point scorers when it comes to free throws. And he didn't even lead the league in free throws attempt this year neither. So this whole free throw merchant thing is some cop-out. Just because your favorite players cannot handle him, right, and you can't understand why he's winning. But get used to it, right? Because unlike James Harden, right, who was an extreme flop artist, there's no set of rules that can be brought in next year or the year after that can contain SGA. And for y'all thinking that Jokic is going to be back on top, you got something else coming to you. Okay? If you think that Luka's going to be back on top, you got something else coming to you as well. Right? And if you can't stop Shea now, just think about it. He's still not in his prime. So there's a whole bunch more crying for you guys to do. So you better get started. So that's about it. So until next